You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
Something's coming.
Stand by. Hold on to your hats, here we go.
Welcome to the Screamcast episode 149. I am Sean Duregger, and with me is everybody. BJ Colangelo joins us.
Yay. Hi, I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you.
We fucking missed you like crazy. All right, next is Stephanie Crawford.
Hey, it's me again. Nobody missed me, but I'm here.
I missed you.
Aw.
And, of course, everyone who has been paying attention to the feed and everything is probably sick of him by now, but Brad Henderson's here as well.
I can't believe I'm back on this fucking show.
Boo.
But is this Brad Henderson or is this Brad F. Henderson 1 on Twitter?
Oh, shit!
Oh.
Trolls in the house, hitting it hard this year. Anyway,
We had an imposter.
So this is the first Screamcast of 2018. I want to thank all of you for waiting patiently for us to start up again. I wanted to do kind of a hiatus to kind of reset, but I also had things that I wanted to work on. I've always wanted to do a podcast network. So I figured, fuck it, let's do a podcast network. So Screaming Pods is the network that we've started. It's over at screamingpods.com. So we've broken away from oneofus.net, but there's no hard feelings. I emailed Chris. We're cool. We're going to put a banner ad up on oneofus.net over there. Everybody's cool, but it's just been something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time. And I just figured Brad decided he wanted to cheat on us with some stupid SOV podcast or something. And I figured, we might as well start up a network if he's going to be doing some side bullshit. So, So we have a couple spin-off podcasts. We have my once-a-month sci-fi podcast called Xenopod from the year 5000. You'll find that once a month. But Brad, tell us a little bit about THESOVPOD. See, I'm not as good as Mike Delaney is.
That's true.
The SOV pod.
I'm kidding. You're great. We cover shot of video movies. It's pretty much it. And more people listen to the show than they're probably watching the movies, which is crazy to me, but it's fine. I'm glad people are listening.
Well, you guys make it fun. You've brought in Arby's as an unofficial sponsor.
Official. We're just gonna say official. And we actually had another sponsor hop on last week. So we'll be happy to announce that Moon Pie is also sponsoring the SOV podcast. So Arby's and Moon Pies, people, eat them up so you make us money.
What's your favorite moon pie?
Just the original. That banana shit can get the fuck out of here. Sean, you need to edit that out because I could lose a sponsor.
No, they're not listening to the Screamcast. They're listening to Wait, hold on. THESOVPOD. I'm Mike Delaney. No?
Wow.
Is that good?
Never do that again.
Yeah, that is the worst. I'm glad we start off our first episode of the new year with an impersonation that it's very, very wrong.
We love Mike Delaney so much.
He already misspelled some things.
Have I misspelled some things?
You just stumbled trying to spell 9 letters.
Yeah.
TH.
Well, see, unlike the
VOS,
unlike the SOV pod, I don't have a script, so.
Whoa!
I was kidding.
You're dead
All right.
wrong, sir.
No, it's actually the SOV pod, as I call it, is Very fun. I love it so much. I look forward to hearing you and Mike, Brad, talk about these movies that I will probably never, ever watch. And I recommend everyone check it out. So the Xenopod and the SOV Pod, you can find over at thescreamcast.com. They have their own separate feeds, so you'll find those there. But you can also find them all over at screamingpods.com. Splathouse is on there as well. We also brought on Bloody Popcorn, which we're huge fans of them. And then Brian Sauer's Just the Discs podcast is on there, as well as a beer podcast called Brew Bloods. And then I've been trying to mix up this the network a little bit, and then so we have another film podcast with a gay twist. It's called You Can't Sit With Us, and it's fantastic. So if you haven't heard that, I thought you were going to say the SOV pod again. They're doing their first podcast of the new year. We're recording, and so tomorrow they're going to be doing theirs, so it should be hitting these feeds very soon. But it's John Doolin and Spencer Swindon, and they're fantastic. So check them out. And also, along with trying to mix things up, I have my kind of religion podcast. Not really religion. I don't know what to call it.
Spiritual.
The Armchair Philosopher is on there, and then I brought on a couple more to kind of round out that little category. There's a podcast called The Life After, which is really great, and it's about these two guys who've left religion, and it's about their whole journey, and they talk about different things per week, and it's really great. And then there's a kind of more liberal leaning feminist podcast called Azer Uncaged, and they're a part of the network as well. So there's kind of a lot for everybody, not just horror, not just film. So I'm trying to, round it out to have some kind of, interesting podcasts and subjects, but not kind of like trying not to do like the normal fare, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see how it goes. It's my big experiment for 2018.
Yeah, you're finally classing up the joint.
Yeah. So there may be some other podcasts down the line that will be added to the network. I know that some other people have hit me up, and we'll see what happens. So, I don't know. Big thank you.
Awesome. Way to accomplish your resolution like 24 days into the year.
Yeah, immediately.
Hell yes. All right. So today on the Screamcast, we are going to be doing What's on Your Doorstep. We're switching up the segments, same segments, but we're kind of doing them in a different order. We're going to be doing VHS Oh My God. We'll be talking about 1992's Star Time. We'll be doing Screams, talking about 1971's Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And then we'll close out the show talking about Suspiria and the Synapse Blu-ray and all that. So that's the agenda for today. What do you guys say we jump right into What's on Your Doorstep?
Holy cow, I almost forgot.
We'll get the door.
I'll go first, if only because, hi everyone, I've been gone for 12 million years, and I have no idea what I talked about the last time I was on here, so the likelihood that I'm going to repeat something is pretty high. However, there's been some things that I finally caught up on that I would love to share. I'll just kind of run the gamut, so to speak, of the things that I saw that I liked. So first on that list is Creep 2, which I'm sure you guys have already talked about, but I'm late to the party. Sorry about it. Finally caught it, and I think that it is fan-fucking-tastic. It's one of the rare instances where I think a sequel surpasses the original. I think that Mark Duplass he gave the best performance of 2017, regardless of genre of any film. I thought he was remarkable. I think that it's, because I can't really call it a found footage film. I think this is definitely more just of a POV style of film, and it's done in the best way possible. The timing is great. I think that the camera adds a lot of the humor and the uncomfortability to it, and that isn't done a whole lot. So I'm very, very excited that they're going to be making a third one, and I was just blown away by how great Patrick Brice and Mark Duplass did on the sequel. So Creep 2. What else? I finished up The Exorcist season 2, which I still believe is the best horror television show out there. I'm kind of bummed out because I highly doubt that it's going to get renewed for season 3 because no one really watched season 1 and no one definitely watched season 2, and it's a shame because it's great. I think that it's...
What network is it on?
It's on Fox.
Okay. I don't watch normal TV, so I don't know what...
I like how you just got yelled at.
Yeah, I don't really watch normal TV either, but I have Hulu, and that's how I ended up watching the first season of The Exorcist, is I just kind of binged all of it. And then when the second season came out, I just watched it on Hulu, when I had the time. And I was just blown away by how scary the effects are. The storyline's really intriguing. And the showrunner doesn't give a fuck. And is making the show that he wants to make, which I think is awesome, and more people need to be doing that. I've actually been watching a lot of TV. I'm real into season 2 of Riverdale, and Riverdale, people want to give it shit. They say that it's for like kids or whatever. That's fine. It's fucking Twin Peaks for kids. Every episode this season is named after a horror movie, and then they take inspiration from said horror movie, and it's used in either the camera style or the lighting or the storyline. It's really, really cool. I know they're doing an episode, I don't know if it's next week or the week after, where they're going to do Carrie the Musical. So I'm going to lose my shit is what's about to happen. But yeah, I'm really, really digging what they're doing with this season of that. And the only other movie that I really wanted to talk about, and it's kind of a shameless plug that'll be late anyway, but I am one of the ambassadors for the Dread Central Presents screenings through Epic Pictures. So there are 9 cities currently. We're adding more every day. So if you have an indie theater and you want to join the party, feel free to hit me up and I can direct you over to Rob Galuzzo and we can see what we can work out. But they are original horror films that are being distributed under the Dread Central Presents label, which is a subsidiary of Epic Pictures. And one of the films that we are showing tomorrow, so January 25th and the 26th, we're doing a double feature of Turbo Kid and then this Hong Kong zombie comedy called Zombieology Enjoy Yourself Tonight. And it is a fucking blast. It's foreign language, obviously, so you have to read subtitles, but it's about these two guys that are, basically have to save the world from the zombie apocalypse, and there's like a zombified chicken, and it's super funny, and it's really, really fast paced, and it makes me think kind of like a Hong Kong Tucker and Dale meets like Cooties in a way, like because of how kind of absurd everything is, but it's a lot of fun, and I am really looking forward to seeing how the audiences around the area are going to respond to it. I really enjoyed it, so I hope they do too, but I watched about 100 other things, but I don't know what I talked about last, so I will cap it at that.
Awesome.
Dang. Will those movies, because I know Turbo Kid's available, but is that other movie going to stream anywhere? Like on...
Yeah, so once the theatrical run is done with them, obviously I don't have like the details as to like where it's going,
it's going to stream,
yeah, all of these films will be distributed in some fashion. Like one of the titles that we have later this year is The Lodgers, Brian O'Malley's film. So that's the guy who made Let Us Pray. That's going to have like a physical release. In addition to streaming and theatrical, that's going to be kind of like a bigger one, whereas some of the smaller guys, like they may hit streaming immediately, but obviously I don't have all of those answers. But they will be available for public viewing, and this is just kind of like the special, if you're in town, you get to see it before everybody else.
Nice.
Yeah, The Lodge is pretty good. I like that a lot better than Let Us Pray.
Yeah, I really like it too. I'll talk about that one more when it gets closer to that one being actually released, just to kind of like bring it back in the fold so people can get excited about it. But yeah, I fucking love The Lodgers. It's gorgeous.
Very nice. Stephanie.
Yeah.
What is on your doorstep?
Well, during the holidays, I was kind of in like a fugue state and like watching a lot of comfort TV. So starting in January, I started diving back into my Blu-rays a little bit more. So let's see. Recently, I've been catching up on, well, what stood out was probably Green Slime from Warner Archive.
Very nice.
And it's the kind of like weird space movie that I'm normally attracted to, but I had never actually heard of it before. And it's, I don't know, it's weird, but it's a little tedious into the end. And that's when it kind of won me over. It's a little bit like action figures in space, and I'm a big sucker for that.
You know, it's little kids in the costumes.
Okay, that's even better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's little kids, yeah.
I was actually going to talk about Creep 2 as well. BJ pretty much covered everything, but it was a great surprise. I really enjoyed Creep, and this was kind of the perfect sequel for me that escalated everything just enough while still living in the world, still keeping everything odd and strangely charming and kind of off-kilter that the original had. And yeah, it's one of the ones where you hear about a third one coming, you're actually excited about it, and you actually have faith that they're going to pull it off. So I definitely back that choice up.
I've never wanted to drink Francis Ford Coppola wine more than after I watched Creep 2. Like, I went to Target the next day, and I just wanted to, like, put my arm behind the shelf of all of the wine bottles and just take them all.
Hey, sponsor idea for the Sov Pod, Brad. Sometimes I feel bad because I get stuck in watching older movies. So today, I randomly looked around Netflix, and I watched a movie called Curve.
Oh, the horror flick from a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's okay.
It's really the definition of okay. Like, the lead actress is from Dancing with the Stars. So I was like, okay. But I gave it's very much like 127 hours, kind of buried, kind of like, I don't know, the director of K-Pax directed this. It shouldn't work on any level.
I didn't know that, but that's fucking hilarious.
It strangely does.
I just realized that I tried to watch this movie and could not finish it. No. The second you said the director of K-Pax, I'm like, oh yeah, I tried to watch this.
They should have marketed that shit from the director of K-Pax.
Yes. No, I almost tapped out after 20 minutes, but I got distracted by something else, and I came back to it. And it actually,
it's intriguing a little bit later.
Yeah, no, it has a really satisfying
You are stronger
ending.
than I.
Yeah. It's still a tough... It's not suggesting that anybody watches, but it's not that bad for a rainy day movie.
Yeah, I've definitely picked out worse random Netflix choices. But I brought it up because I don't recommend it, and I don't not recommend it. And that makes for great conversation, apparently. Great job, me. Okay.
No, I think those movies are great. There was a movie that I watched, I don't know, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, that I like sometimes recommend, but then I hate myself for recommending it. But it's called Preservation, and it's about a couple that get attacked by these guys on dirt bikes in the wilderness. And it's not a bad movie, but it just also doesn't go anywhere. It's just like, it's kind of, female survivalist film, but at the same time, it's just really bland. But it pops up on Netflix all the time, and people talk about it, and like everybody's the same. It's like, it's okay, I guess. Like, it's fine. I would hate to be a filmmaker that made a movie like that. Where it's like, hey, you should watch this when you have nothing else to watch, because it's okay.
It's like Soup, but it's a movie. Enjoy.
Oh my god.
It's like Soup.
That needs to go on a poster somewhere. That's a pull quote that needs to go somewhere.
I don't know why I haven't been pull quoted yet. It's a mystery to me.
That's definitely one from the director of K-Pax.
It's like Soup.
All right.
And the last thing I can get a little bit more passionate about is I got that double set from Vinegar Syndrome, the 5 films, 5 years.
Yeah.
Where they've been like porting over their DVDs onto Blu-ray, which is great. And I'm sorry, BJ, I haven't gotten to the Golden Age erotica yet. I'm waiting for the right time, the right mood, you know. Haven't gotten there yet.
One day. One day you'll get there.
You. I need that encouragement, but anyway. So I've been diving into the horror and exploitation. Although I will say I've watched 3 out of the 5, and it's definitely more exploitation than horror. But it's a lot of fun. I watched The Mothers, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, I love it. It's just, these women pirates, and they're full fucking pirates with like the scarves around their heads and the badass boots and taking the booty at everything, and they break into a prison to free one of their sisters, and you can definitely feel the Roger Corman in it. It's a lot of fun. And I watched Murder on the Emerald Seas.
That movie's a blast. It's so
one of the
fucking
strangest films I've ever seen. It has drag queen. Well, no, not even drag queens. It's like really poor cross-dressing that turns into kind of good cross-dressing. And at first you think there's going to be some really terrible gay panic in it. But then they kind of turn it around and it becomes kind of heartwarming. And Henny Youngman is in it. It's just really strange. It has wacky sound effects. It has a Batman in it. It has everything. I don't even know if it's exploitation. It's like a goofy. It's like a kid's party if it was a movie for grown-ups.
It's kind of a mixed. It's kind of a mixed genre.
Yeah. If it's a genre at all,
right.
And then I just watched Flesh and Bullets.
That one's fun. Yeah. I watched. Was it? Because I can't think of what's on those sets. Is it Hang Up that's on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hang Up's really good. So
yeah, but Flesh and Bullets, it's like strangers on a train, but it's like strangers on like a broken down Greyhound. It's like, hey, let's crisscross these murders of our ex-wives, but they each fall in love with the ex-wife, and they narrate about why they can't kill the wife, and it's great though. It's really terrible, but it's great, and it has like Aldo Ray, Robert Zadar, Yvonne DiCarlo. I think Cesar Romero is in it. It shouldn't exist. And it was made in 1985, but it feels like it's like 1974, 1976 maybe. But it has like really cool, I'm in Las Vegas, and it has really cool vintage Las Vegas footage. So that's kind of like plus 50 points immediately from me. But yeah, this set is a blast, and I do recommend it if you like really strange things.
Yeah, what's his name? Carlos, is it Tobalina that directed that? He is such an odd person himself when he, like the movies that he's done, just really bizarre shit. I mean, he's done the X-rated stuff, but he has those films. He did another Vinegar Syndrome title called Marilyn and the Senator, and it's just, oof. Yeah. He really knows how to make, because I feel that when you watch those movies, like the sets and the colors, they make you uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. It's just the cinematography and the lighting and the choosing of the art decoration, decor, and the way people dress. He just likes it. Just makes when you watch it, it just feels awkward. He's really good at that. I don't know if it's on purpose.
Yeah, some of the worst line deliveries I've heard in my life.
Well, that's his porn days, where he's because I think he directed Flesh and Bullets after he directed like a string of porn. So, yeah, he's an odd bird.
Never guessed that. Though the sex scenes were fairly restrained, so good on him, I guess.
Yeah. So is that it for you? You watched 3 of those, you said? So you have was it Hang Up?
I have Hang Up left and Dungeon of Harrow.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, Hang Up's really good though. So, all right. I have no idea where to begin. I honestly don't.
We should just have an episode dedicated to everything that you've seen.
I've seen 200 and some movies since our last show.
Oh God.
Are you serious?
Yeah, most of it's...
Dude, pick 5. Holy shit.
Yeah, definitely not going to pick all 200, just 100. So, yeah. All right, where can I start? All right, I'll start with something. I'm going to talk about things that people know. So I got around to watching The Houses October Built Part 2.
Why would you do that?
I know. I didn't mind the first one. I thought it was a good premise. If anybody doesn't know, these guys made this documentary about haunted houses back in like 2010, 2011. It's a really good doc. But they assembled basically, what they knew and their, kind of the people they met along this documentary and gathered their resources together, and they filmed this movie in like 2014 called The Houses. Same title, Houses October Built. And it's a found footage movie about how people are terrorized by these like carnies or whatever from this one haunted house that they visit. And now 3 years later, we have a sequel. So if you don't want any spoiler stuff, I have to spoil the end of the first one and the beginning or not really the beginning, because how it leads into, like, how do you make a sequel when people are kidnapped and buried alive? Well, you find out like none of that shit happened. It was kind of all a stage. And so then we have another story about how they're getting back together and doing another kind of traveling haunt. And the people start acting weird, and then they get terrorized again. It is a fucking chore, though. Oh my God. I was kind of excited to see it because I wanted to see where they would go, and then I was totally regretted it. And I was so irritated by the end of that movie. I don't even know why I'm really talking about it. But anyways, all right, so moving along. I watched, this is a fun movie. I watched Kung Fu Yoga. Has Jackie Chan in it. It's kind of it's a mix. I think it's Bollywood like meets, Jackie Chan. And, it's goofy. It's really hard to dislike things that Jackie Chan does. Because the dude's like 70 years old. Like literally 70 years old. And he's still going 100%. And he's so great. He's charming. He's funny. And it's really hard to dislike anything he does. And this movie is absolutely insane. It tries to play off the Fast and the Furious films. And I don't really still know why it's called Kung Fu Yoga. But it has like song and dance. It has, some fun fighting. It has some funny moments. I'm definitely not saying go out and buy this, but if you see it on Netflix and you want to watch a fun action movie, that might be the way to go. I'm talking about movies that I can't really say the most positive things about, but here we go. This is an older movie I caught, and I was I was happy that I watched this. It's called Vice Versa. Never heard of this shit growing up, and I'm completely surprised. Yeah, never heard of Vice Versa. So it's Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage. It's basically a male Freaky Friday situation where they, Judge Reinhold's kind of this prominent, businessman. His son likes to play in a band, and he's a kid, so he's a little reckless, whatever. And they switch spots, basically bodies. And they deal with their shit. So he gets to see kind of the bully side that his son feels, and then he gets to see how uptight his dad is and how a lot of people don't really care for him all that much. And so the kid brings his like carefree spirit into the business and realize that he's almost helping his dad in a way because they enjoy this about him. Very fun, cute flick. So definitely highly recommended. Can I talk about? No. I watched Your. I don't know. I don't think I thought that I saw Your, but while watching it, I was like, man, I would have probably never watched this movie again if I knew it was like this. It's hard to believe that Yor and Crawl came out the same year. Because they have so
good.
they have so many. Like, I'm good, or are you talking about the movie? Because I'm just going to take it as I'm
No, the
good.
movie. Yor is the man.
It's so, like, I understand, I guess, why people like it. It's just, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. I'm usually bored with stuff like this. But the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking Crawl, because it has so many similar themes and tones as Crawl does. I mean, we start with our cavemen, and then we end up ripping off Star Wars. And, you know, like kind of this not rip off, but the Star Wars riff. Exactly what Crawl does. It's like Vikings and fucking lasers and magic and shit.
And what's wrong with that?
I think people that grew up with it will like it. But I think it's one of those things.
I didn't grow up.
It's goofy as shit, but you have to be somebody who likes the stuff and likes these movies, you know.
But I do. It's just, I don't know why it just didn't.
Yeah, it's all good.
It just didn't
Do you
click
like
with
Star
me.
Crash?
I love Star Crash.
Okay, I'm just checking.
All right,
I mean, that's the thing is I typically like this type of stuff. It's just, I don't know why Yor didn't grab me. I was just wanting the glaive to show up, and it turned into Crawl when it didn't. And then I got to see Insidious 4, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm a big Insidious fan. I know that the series kind of gets shit on, but I enjoy everything about it. I think it's a fun franchise that connects the fourth one connects all the films together. It's got a cool villain. Lynn Shay is great, seeing that she kind of took over this franchise with part 3. She's big in part 3, and now she's basically the leading lady in 4. It's creepy. It's scary. Like I said, it ties everything in. And, I mean, it's cool to like grow up watching Lynn Shay in so many different movies. Like Nightmare on Elm Street and fucking Detroit Rock City, and just and then seeing her be the lead in a film, and also having this franchise being created, because not too many writers get to continue their own franchises. It's always gets jumbled around, gets sold, but Leigh Whannell is actually writing these films and creating this universe and this mythology of all these characters the way he wants it to be done, which I think is great. And it's one of the reasons why I kind of like the Chucky films, because Don Mancini has written them all. He has creative control over his baby, and I think that's a lot of fun. I dig that quite a bit.
And also, like, think about the career trajectory of Adam Robital. Like, yeah. He was such a favorite of mine because I unironically love the 2001 Maniacs films. I think they're ridiculous. And he's, Robert Englund's, like, redneck son who's, like, fucking sheep. And then he switches from acting, directs Taking of Deborah Logan, which no one had really heard of, but then it hits Netflix, explodes.
So good.
And then he gets to direct, this mega blockbuster franchise. Like, that's incredible to me. And that would happen nowhere else other than horror. And that, like, I get really excited and sentimental about things like that because people shit on the genre so much. But where else would that opportunity exist? Like, no one's gonna let somebody who once played a sheep fucker direct like some Oscar bait movie. It's not gonna happen. But horror's like, yeah, no, you proved yourself. Here you go. Here's a franchise. And
he brought Lynn Shay with him from 2001 Maniacs.
Right? So. She's so great in that too.
Yeah, she's a fun lady, and she's a great character actor. And it's just nice to see her on the big screen. And then last but not least, I'll tie up with this one. Opera is available on Blu-ray, and since we're talking about Suspiria, Opera is available on Blu-ray for the first time, I believe. I don't know if any other companies released it on Blu-ray. So it's a Scorpion, Code Red kind of combo. It looks great, I think. And and it's every time I watch it, I kind of forget how beautiful and how brutal the movie is. I tend to like. I think it's one of those. I think Opera and Inferno always get pushed back on kind of when people think about like Argento at his best. I mean, because of course we talk about Suspiria and all that, and even people mention Demons, which is not really the same thing as directing an Argento film, but Opera has so many beautiful moments, and the colors are popping off the screen, and seeing that bullet hole or that peephole bullet scene in HD is just so good. It seems like he made that a little bit before his time. Like he was doing a few things like Suspiria, which we're going to talk about. I mean, it's very colorful. It's very beautiful. It's very arty. Opera does that, but it also has the brutality in it where it's really tough, at times to watch, because there's a couple times where you just grit your teeth. And it's like, ugh, God, that's fucking intense. But it is also very beautiful, which I enjoy. So yeah, that's available on Blu-ray. It's fairly cheap too, so I would suggest picking that up.
Yeah, I think they released the standard, and they're going to do like a limited edition later.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. Is just the soundtrack or something?
I have no idea. Probably the Steelbook.
Yeah, fuck
maybe.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have my Anchor Bay DVD though.
What do you got, Sean?
I finally watched the movie Popcorn, and this is like the first time I'd ever seen it. I got the Synapse Blu-ray, and of course there's an ode to kind of the William Castle films, and I don't know why I hadn't seen this sooner. It's like a love letter to all these films. It's funny. It's well done. Like the movie within the movie, or the movies within the movie, are all really fun. I would love to just sit down and watch some of those. And yeah, it looks fantastic on Blu-ray. So, I mean, this was a whole big thing, but people were talking about Popcorn forever and wanting it on Blu-ray forever. And there was some sort of mix up with some sort of Kickstarter and all that stuff. But yeah.
There's a whole lot of drama. Yeah. That's not a can of worms you want to open. No, I'm not going to open
that up. But they, like Synapse normally does, they'll do like the Steelbook version, and then they'll release, maybe 6 months to maybe even a year later, they'll release like the standard edition. And that's what I was patient and I waited for it. And I'm glad I did, but looks fantastic. And there's like a making of documentary. It's like about an hour long. That's pretty great. But I don't think it's the making of that was talked about. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to open up that can of worms.
Nope, it's a different one. Yep. Opening the can to say it is not the same one, and then closing that can right back up.
Yep. Okay. But it's great, man. This is a movie that's going to get rewatched over and over again. I may throw this into my kind of even Halloween kind of pile and just watch it every year. It's a lot of fun. I finally saw Brawl in Cell Block 99 with Vince Vaughn. We've talked about this.
I'm really curious to hear what you think about this.
Well, I loved it, and I'm hit or miss with Vince Vaughn. When at the beginning, when he starts just tearing apart that car, when he starts tearing apart that car by hand, I was like, holy shit. Like, I've never seen Vince Vaughn like that. And I knew he's always been tall, but I guess I've never really, he's just, I don't know. He's a big guy. He's always looked just tall and lanky, but they do a good job of kind of showing you that he's a pretty big guy, at least in this film, and they do a good job of that. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really well done. I thought that the gore got like past exploitation into kind of almost comical near the end. So it's like at that point I couldn't really take the movie that seriously anymore. I was like, all right, well they're just now they're having fun, and so there's a lot I really dug about it. And my wife actually sat and watched the end, and she thought the end was really touching.
Oh, it kind of was.
Do I have to revoke my card if I admit that I'm such in the minority, but Until Luck 99 did not do anything for me.
No, you don't have. I mean, the
answer is yes.
I've seen a few people. Yeah, I think you're entitled to your opinion.
I just think that, like, I've watched so much exploitation over the years that I was like, okay, I get it. I get what you're going for, but I've seen this done already and better. And I don't know. I'm a piece of shit. I just, no. I wanted to love it and I did not. And then I went on the internet when it became, more available, and everyone's like, oh my God, BJ, have you seen this? You're going to love it. Have you seen this? You're going to love it. And I was like, I have seen it. I don't love it. Stop recommending this movie to me.
No, I really dug it. I think that it tries a little too hard on the exploitation angle. I think they actually could have toned down.
Yes, it does.
The insanity of the gore, because it's just too much. It's like if they would have toned it down, it would have been a little more realistic. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what they're trying for, but I had fun with it. And once I kind of just took it as, all right, this is this director doing exploitation. We're fine. So I dug it. Moving along to another hyped up film. This is directed by Joe Lynch. It's called Mayhem,
yes, Mayhem.
Starring Steven Yeun and Samara Weaving. I did not like this film.
Same.
What?
Yeah,
what?
Charlie disagrees with me.
Love Joe Lynch, but Mayhem blows.
I loved Mayhem.
I want Charlie.
Well, at least we're even now.
I was going to say, this is why I'm on the show. I'm just the contrarian to whatever the fuck you guys like.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've seen this type of stuff before. This was tough. Like, it was like trying to be maybe funny, but then also kind of wasn't. But I also didn't really connect with the lead character. Like, I didn't care about his plight to get to the top. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because it's in this movie, they all basically get infected with a virus, and it all causes them all to kind of act on impulse. And different people have different reactions. And the building goes on lockdown, and he basically is going up to the top to because he has some disagreements with management, stuff like that, and it's just, I just didn't care, I guess, that much about it. I don't know. This is one of those, I don't know if I rewatch it, maybe I'll have a different reaction to it, but I just didn't like it. Like, I couldn't wait for it to end. I just could not connect at all. I don't know.
I've seen it twice, and I didn't. I try my goddamn hardest to like Joe Lynch's movies, because I absolutely love Joe Lynch. I would give him a kiss on the lips. I love Holliston. Guy, yeah. I love Wrong Turn 2. He's very smart, but god damn it, I haven't liked any of his movies since fucking Wrong Turn 2.
Are you serious? I fucking loved Everly.
Oh, Everly's a piece of shit.
Oh man!
My God! I'm going to
Everly.
Fight you.
I'm a fan of Everly. I really dug that flick.
I do prefer Everly to Mayhem. I think that it's a better film, but I really enjoyed Mayhem. I thought it was a lot of fun. But yeah, Everly's my jam. Y'all can fuck yourselves.
I was talking to someone about Mayhem. I forget who I was talking to. So if you're listening, I apologize. But in talking about this, it sounds like Mayhem worked better with a theatrical crowd, and because people kind of going in and having fun with it, I
did watch it with a group.
Yeah, it just seemed like people who saw it with a group had more fun with it. Because I watched most of these by myself because I am a sad bastard. But so maybe if I would have seen this with a group, maybe just seeing people react to it and everything like that, maybe it would have been helped out a little bit. I don't know. But I mean, I love Joe Lynch. Dude, keep making these crazy flicks. I mean, stuff's not for everybody, but I would never doubt his filmmaking skills at all. And I did like Steven, is it Yeun? Because he's from Walking Dead, and I've liked the few Walking Dead shows. I've always liked him as an actor, and I think he does a great job with the role. And Samara Weaving is great as well. So I don't know. I don't fault any of the actors. I just didn't connect. But moving along with another film that got a lot of hype and that I didn't connect with is a film called Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson.
I don't know if you want to dig that hole. Dig your hole and just lay down.
Robert Pattinson is great.
Start pulling the dirt on top of you.
It takes place. It takes place over one night. Basically, his character, basically, is trying to get his brother out of jail and kind of follows him as he's, trying to get all this done. I don't know.
I thought we were going to have a good year.
It's another one. Like I heard it. A lot of people talking about it. Everyone said they loved it. And it just didn't, as a whole, as a film, I didn't connect with it. I thought Robert Pattinson was great. Like more stuff like that from him would be fantastic. But I didn't, I just didn't connect with it. I kind of got a little bored and just, didn't really care if he, helped his brother out or not. But that's just me. But I hear it's really good, and I hear a lot of people are talking about how good it is.
It is.
And
you're absolutely right. You have heard that.
I've heard it's good. I did not think it was that good. I thought it was okay. So I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right, and finally, Brad, you've talked about this. I believe you talked about this film. I think you even told me about it when you first heard about it or something. It's called The Osiris Child, Science Fiction Volume 1.
Yeah, I've been talking about that movie for like 10 years.
Yeah, this is by Shane Abbas.
No one's fucking watching it.
I know. It's a low, the things he was able to do on a low budget for a sci-fi film, building this ambitious like sci-fi world, and this building the story and all the world building that goes on with it. It's pretty great. So if you're a sci-fi fan, like definitely give this thing a watch. You'll definitely like it. I don't know how they did all this stuff on this measly budget that he had, because he has like all the creatures I think are practical. Like there's these big features that kind of. And Brad,
the budget isn't said yet. Yeah, I don't know what his budget was, but
okay. So,
I would like to know, because that's a multi-million-dollar looking movie.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt he even had close to $1 million for that. Yeah. Because he did the same thing with Infinity. Like Infinity looks incredible.
Yeah,
but
Infinity's great too.
Budget was like fucking like $100,000 or some shit. But it's a very bland movie. Like as far as storyline goes, it's very by the books. But the characters are really great. I love the fucking ending is amazing. The whole thing with like the Ravager things being on the ground, sending the guy to help his daughter. It kind of rips off Chappie from the D. Antwoord characters that are in Chappie, and they throw them in this one, but they're a lot better because they're you're able to understand them and they're not annoying. But I love the Osiris Child, and I hope, because obviously he's setting this up for a franchise, but being it's so small, I don't know if he'll do another one. I really hope he gets to. He's a hell of a director, man. If you got to make a movie for $10, hire Shane Abbas. Guy can stretch a buck, man. Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's out on Blu-ray. It looks great. They actually throw in like all these featurettes about the making of it, and it just makes me love the film even more, just kind of seeing what they're able to do. So if you're a sci-fi fan, definitely check the sucker out. It's pretty good. And Josh Obershaw returns to bring us the Blu-ray news. Josh, what's up, man?
I'm back, and I'm ready to rock and roll.
Happy belated New Year, good sir.
And a happy belated New Year's to you and everybody else as well.
All right, so it's been a minute, and there's been a lot of announcements. So what I asked you to do before we got together here was try to pick some highlights and things that people shouldn't miss, because man, it's getting sensory overload with some of these releases. So what do you have for us?
All right, well, the highlights from the past couple of months or so, well, I guess between the last time we recorded, I guess it's been a month, but basically we got 2 months worth of stuff from Arrow to tell you about. The highlights for their March releases include a double bill of A Pistol for Ringo and The Return of Ringo. That is coming out on both sides of the Atlantic on March 19th and 20th, respectively, the UK and US. Same thing with Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting that on March 26th in the UK and the 27th here in the US. And if you have a region-free player, the UK is getting Flowers in the Attic. That one is coming out on March 12th. So for April, we've got Blade of the Immortal. That's going to be a UK-only release. That comes out on April 2nd. There's a box set called the Seijun Suzuki, The Early Years Volume 2. That one is for both sides. That's April 16th and 17th. The UK also has an Amazon Video exclusive called Go to Hell, Bastards. I don't remember the release date for that one, but it's in April. And they're also re-releasing a whole bunch of stuff that was part of box sets or were limited releases, like Donnie Darko. For the UK, they're getting standard editions of Carrie. That George Romero box set is getting split in 3 separate releases, stuff like that.
Okay. One thing I wanted to say about Blade of the Immortal for the US, Magnet's releasing that. So so there's no confusion on that. I'm sure people would be asking.
That's right.
But yeah. So Arrow's distributing on their side, and then Magnet, of course, distributing on our side.
Moving right along to Synapse. Now, for anybody who missed out on the super expensive limited edition of Suspiria that came out in December, or just didn't want to pay the $50 for that, Synapse is releasing a 2-disc standard edition as well as a single-disc Blu-ray on March 12th. So we don't get to wait long for that one, as opposed to past releases like Popcorn or Phenomena and stuff like that. The February package for our sponsors, Vinegar Syndrome, includes the following: Penitentiary 2, Prey, Mary Mary, a DVD-only release Nightcaller, as well as another Peakorama. The 2 features are Sessions of Love Therapy and 100 Acts of Love. That one comes out at the end of the month. Of course, if you order directly from Vinegar Syndrome, you can get the whole package for a discount price. You can get just the Blu-ray DVD combos for, a decent price. But also in addition to that, they are going to be releasing standard editions of Liquid Sky on April 24th. And actually, their standard editions of Red Mob and Sweet Sugar are available right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed out on those two, so I'm really, really curious about it. Really, really quickly, Penitentiary got released by Vinegar Syndrome in January. February's Penitentiary 2. I think it's a foregone conclusion that Penitentiary 3 is going to be March. What do you think?
I hope so. I can't wait to watch these movies.
Oh, those movies are fun. Like, the first movie is straight up blaxploitation. The second movie is completely different. It's a little bit more comedic. It's kind of a weird comedy action hybrid with Mr. T.
Perfect.
I still haven't seen the third one, so that's kind of what I'm hoping that how this plays out. Next up, Kino Lorber. They are going to be putting out season 1 of the classic television series The Outer Limits on March 27th. 24 episodes, completely remastered. They all have commentaries. I've never seen this show, so I think this is going to be a good entry point. I confessed on Twitter that I've never seen the show before, so.
You got to be careful when you confess shit on Twitter, man. Got to watch out. Especially what you haven't seen.
I don't care. Come at me. We all have those gaps. Okay, finally, I want to mention this label that is just coming out, MVD Rewind Collection. They already have 2 releases out right now. DOA, A Rite of Passage, which is a punk rock documentary, and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. And later on down the line, we've got Black Eagle starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. That one comes out on February 13th. Savannah Smiles comes out on April 24th. And Jim Warnowski's Return of Swamp Thing is dated for May 8th.
Yes, I have the UK version of it, so I'm pretty happy, but I'll be buying that too. It's seriously one of my favorite Warnowski movies. How do you pronounce that? Wynorski. Listen to the new Splathouse episode, by the way. You'll hear Mike and Jim Wynorski going back and forth trying to say his name correctly. It's fantastic. Little plug there for Splathouse. It's great. Wynorski.
Wynorski. And one more release from MVD to let you know about. It's a movie called Wind Rider with Nicole Kidman. That one was originally supposed to come out in March, but apparently there was a rights issue with them and MGM. It was put on hold, but according to Amazon, you can pre-order it, and the release date for that is June 28th.
Nice. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to check that one out. Early Nicole Kidman is a must.
Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. MVD Rewind has a Facebook page, so if you want to look that up there, go right ahead. They've got all the news of stuff that they're going to be putting out. So those are pretty much the big highlights for the first month or two of this year.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, Arrow has been a little quiet lately, but they said they're going to be ramping up some more announcements. So one of them, oh shit, Josh.
Oh, I skipped over one. Yes, and this is one I'm really, really excited for. I'm going to put a pre-order for this one.
We had a tease by some other company, overseas company.
That's right.
That got canceled. Josh, what are they releasing? Fuck the 12 Monkeys stuff. 12 Monkeys, whatever. What are they releasing, Josh?
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yes. I'm a little excited.
It doesn't have a release date yet, but we're getting that at some point this year. But also, I also forgot April 10th for the US only, we are getting a limited edition of Dario Argento's Deep Red.
Yeah.
That is the one I put my pre-order on, not Elvira. That one's not up yet. Finally, Elvira.
So excited. All right, man.
That's it. I'm done.
All right, Josh, thank you very much for the update. I'm sure we're all writing all these down, and our Blu-ray budgets will weep a little bit, but we will scream with glee as soon as the shit hits our mailboxes, for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, Josh, thanks. We'll talk to you next time.
We'll talk to you next time.
Nikki.
Well, here we are at last. Right where we ought to be. Video. Oh my
God! Today we are talking about 1992's Star Time. It is starring John P. Ryan, Michael St. Gerard, and Maureen Teefy. Kept from suicide by a show business hustler, a TV addict becomes the baby mask killer.
Hurts when you're robbed, when they take away what's yours. Oh, yeah. I thought about putting an end to it once, too, pal. And you know what saved me? You. Yeah. You. And every single human being who carries the cross of awareness in this world. I don't want to make you feel guilty, pal, but what about them? If you and I cut the cord, what happens to them? Who? Each of those tender, sensitive souls out there who week in and week out experience with you and me the magic of our favorite TV show, The Robertson Family. Tonight, that very special TV show has been taken off the air forever. You and I are not the only ones crushed by the loss. But I will say this, that not everyone has the courage to go for the total blackout like you and me. Want to jump with me?
Written, directed, and produced by Alexander Cassini, who, trivia, is married to Maureen Teefy, or was at the time.
Wow, that's some really good trivia.
Yep. Yep. So like I said,
I feel enlightened.
So John P. Ryan, he plays Sam Bones. You may recognize him from Class of 1999. He was also in Bound and Best of the Best. Michael St. Gerard he's a Henry Pickle in this, and he played Elvis in like everything that starred Elvis or that needed an Elvis around that time. He was in Great Balls of Fire. He was in Heart of Dixie, and then he was in this TV series called Elvis. So that's interesting. And then Maureen Teefey.
So just some typecasting.
Yeah. She plays Wendy, and I couldn't really find a whole lot on her. She did a lot of TV, but she was Lucy Lane in Supergirl, and she was Sharon in Grease 2.
Oh.
Hell yes. You got my attention.
I knew.
And fame. I always think she was in Jesus Christ Superstar because she feels like the kind of person who is in Jesus Christ Superstar. She's not. Huh. That's a trivia fact for you.
Interesting. So right now, this was VHS only, never really made it to DVD at all. You can find this in certain places, and I thought this was, Brad, you were like, as soon as we mentioned we were going to do this for the show, you were like, "Oh, I can't wait to see what Sean thinks about this thing." What did you think that I would think about Star Time, Brad?
You hate everything, so I thought you'd hate it.
I actually thought this was a lot of fun. Like, this was obviously lower budget, basically 3 principal actors, felt very stage play in a sense, just because there's the 3 main actors. But man, I had fun with it, man. I was curious to see exactly what was going on. I thought I knew what was going on. I was able to kind of figure some things out. But that baby mask, man, when he puts that mask on and he smiles, removes his mouth, it looks like he's doing this weird smile, like genuinely just unsettling. And yeah, I really had some fun with this. We'll talk about it a little more there, but I want to hear, let's go around and initial thoughts from everybody. But yeah, man, I loved it, man.
Good.
So my initial thoughts can be summed up with a dramatic reading of the one and only IMDb review of this film.
I copied that as well. I put it down here.
I'm going to read it, and I'm going to emphasize exactly where they emphasized it, because
Please.
I think that's what really nails it home. So the title of this review, in all caps, "Not a slasher film, very atmospheric." Agreed. Fair point. I expected Star Time to be yet another expired early 90s horror film, and the box cover and tagline suggest that too, unfortunately. But I was very wrong. Star Time is a perfect example of what a lot of 80s slashers wanted to be. It's more of an adult slasher, as it really wouldn't appeal to a teenage audience. This film, most of all, is very atmospheric. I agree. A lot of it is boring, but the whole idea behind it is ingenious. 3 out of 5 stars. Star Time is a pretty good horror film that I think horror fans, even casual ones, should see. That's a pretty fair assessment of this movie.
Yes.
I don't know if I would say it's that atmospheric. Yeah, it's atmospheric, but it's not very atmospheric. But I do agree with him. I thought this was going to be a slasher film. I was wrong, and I had fun with it. I think that it's something that I wish I would have seen earlier. The baby mask is super creepy, and I like that baby masks in the last couple of years seem to be making a comeback. So now I just want to watch a bunch of baby mask horror movies. So yeah, this one was fun for me. How about the rest of y'all?
For me, I was a little torn on it. So I will say, Sean didn't mention Michael St. Gerard being in Hairspray.
Ooh.
That is
man.
That is
Sorry
correct.
about that.
So that was exciting for me. Yeah, I think it was atmospheric, but very uneven. I thought the pacing was really strange, which might have actually worked in its favor because it had kind of like a fever dream quality to it a lot of time. Even though the plot reminded me a little bit of more along lines of Starry Eyes, for some reason I kept thinking of the movie Looker with this one, and I'm not sure why. It might have been the look. They have nothing in common, but I kept thinking of Looker. There are a lot of parts where I wished it was directed by Larry Cohen, like specifically, because I think that would have been perfect. Because the directions it veers off into, if it was handled, I don't know, like a little bit more deftly, I probably would have completely fallen in love with this movie. So I have reservations about it, but it's so interesting, and I do think Maureen Teefey was amazing in it. The performances were really nuanced for all the crazy shit that was going on in the film. So I'm glad I saw it, but I can't, I didn't fully fall for it.
Interesting. Okay. Brad, what do you think?
Well, Star Time has been a favorite of mine for a while. I found the tape when I was younger at a Goodwill in the VHS bin. And I, too, thought it was a slasher, and I popped it in, and I was wrong. But it grew old with me. I still watch it again every once in a while when it just depends on the friends I have over and the movies we're talking about and what I'm showing around it. I best describe this film as if Ken Russell in the 80s had a fever dream with Adam Rifkin making a lengthy Tales from the Crypt episode. That's what it feels like to me. And I mean, I understand when people say atmospheric, but with what you said, Sean, about being a stage play, yes, it feels like a stage play making a Tales from the Crypt episode because it has that haze, that fever dream-like quality, which a lot of the drama episodes of Tales from the Crypt had. We also get to see John Ryan in a light that we've never seen before. Like John P. Ryan, I guess I should say, to clarify a little bit better. John P. Ryan always plays, he's so good at playing a psycho, but he doesn't really play in too many dramatic roles, but he still got to play a psycho in this, as far, not like a psycho per se, but a weird, character. Very much like from Adam Rifkin movies.
Kind of Svengali.
Yeah, like a dark like a lost character out of the Dark Backward or something. But, yeah, it's not a slasher. It almost turns into, like, there's even like those times where it kind of turns into what it could have been, like an erotic thriller. Like when he's like sitting on the dresser watching, the woman in bed naked and, doesn't have any covers on her. It reminds me of stuff like Horror and like Sliver and stuff like that too. But it's like the perfect definition of, the 90s, like fever dream movies. And I've always enjoyed it. And I think it's one of those films that you can plug in when, you think your friends have kind of seen it all. And maybe like bookend it, or not bookend it, put it kind of in the middle with bookends of like a Ken Russell, like, Crimes of Passion, and then like end it with like, The Dark Backward from Adam Rifkin. Kind of in that realm. So I've always enjoyed it, and I'm hoping soon it will be talked about more and be able to seen widely on Blu-ray eventually. Hopefully soon it will.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was googling around a little bit earlier, and I think because it is unfortunately on YouTube, but one of the comments on it was this was coming to Blu-ray in 2018. I don't know how much stock I'm going to hold in that. I think that this will be a film that would benefit greatly from a Blu-ray release, because I also think that it's hitting at a good time where, we're kind of obsessed with sort of the Black Mirror world of when reality and entertainment combine. I mean, Tragedy Girls was a huge hit, and that's sort of like a modern look at something similar, like kill a bunch of people, wear a creepy mask, be famous kind of thing. And then obviously the Starry Eyes comparison makes a lot of sense, but I think this will be one people will be really excited to find. And I like that it, you know, because it's early 90s, it's like just at the start of when sort of that like fame hungry streak started happening within our culture. So in a lot of ways, this movie's really out of its time.
Yeah, with the actor. I mean, I don't think we talked about the plot all that much, but
yeah, I was just about to bring it up. Go ahead.
It has. Well, I love when you do the plots, but I was going to say, it's
pretty simple plot. I mean,
no, it is, but it's a very, it's a thinker at times. I think, is it? I mean, is it a thinker? I don't know. Like, there are some hidden things in the film, but I mean, ultimately, it's. I agree with BJ. It's like one of those things where, it's. People want to be and like need to be famous, and they're willing to go any route to do it. That's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't know if that really aligns with the plot all that much of the film, but that's kind of the desperation in the character I like to see, and that's kind of what makes the movie a little bit more unique. But Sean, why don't you segue into the plot, because I want to hear it.
Well, I mean, I you know, kind of is this guy who he's seeing like a social worker. He's a bit disturbed, and his favorite television show gets canceled. So he goes up to the roof. He creates a suicide tape, gives it to his social worker, Wendy, and goes up to the roof, and he's gonna basically jump off the roof. And then that's when John P. Ryan's character shows up and basically says, "Look, come with me and do what I say, and we can help. I don't know, save television or something like that." And that's when these gratuitous murders start coming in, and that's that. See, I'm awful at closing down the plot. 'Cause I never want to give too much away. I don't want to just tell the whole story, but.
I think
that's the setup.
I think that sums it up as the setup, and then I think it's executed very well, and kind of what it sums up to be and turns out to be. I just think it's really well done. It's even somewhat of a psychological thriller, but then I hate calling horror films psychological thrillers, so it's a horror psychological thriller.
Yeah, that's elitist Oscar talk. We have no room for that here on the Screamcast.
Yeah, hoity-toity. So. No, even though I don't think I liked as much as everyone else, although I did appreciate it, immediately after it ended, I thought to myself, I should probably watch this again in about 7 months. Because it's one of those ones I've been thinking about since I've seen it, and it's one of those ones I usually appreciate more on the second watch. If that makes any sense.
No, yeah, it
Very
does.
Nice. Sorry, I'm not distracted. I'm blocking some troll guy on Twitter who's continually trying to.
Why are you on Twitter?
Get us to do something because it was blowing up, and this guy was telling us to look.
Yeah, he's
into
trying
another
to drag
guy
me into it too.
He's dragging everyone into it, so I just blocked him with all of our accounts. So
he's like, you see this shit, you need to call him out.
I don't police people's fucking timelines. People listen to the show. I don't, whatever. It's free country. Don't drag me into your bullshit. You call that fucker out. I don't know. It's not my fucking job. Jesus Christ.
I also definitely have this dude blocked. I hate when people pull me into shit because, like, anytime somebody says anything problematic, it's like, let me go talk to mean, bad feminist mom and tell her people are being mean to me.
Oh, no.
And it's like, chill the fuck out, man. Grow up.
Back to Star Time.
Hoot.
One of my favorite scenes in this film was Wendy is laying in her bed, no covers on. She's laying there. She has this really weird, like tall and skinny doll that's laying in the bed with her. And she's laying there and the camera pulls out and there is, our character is Henry with the baby mask naked on the floor.
I thought you were going to jump into like some Natalie Imbruglia song or something.
No, yeah. That, by the way, that is my wife's one of my wife's go-to karaoke songs. If you're ever
Brad,
out,
grab your guitar.
Anyway, but that, man, that is some creepy shit. Right, Charlie? Charlie just snorted. But any other scenes that stand out with you? I mean, I feel like the director didn't do too much after this, did he? Alexander Cassini. I didn't write anything down about anything that he did after this. He did some stuff, but not a whole lot. I want to say he did a lot of TV.
I just can't believe. Oops, sorry. Edit that. No. You go first.
No, it just looks like he had a pretty quiet career following this.
I just can't believe that Maureen Teefey went to fucking Juilliard. So that's a thing. Yeah. I was just IMDbing around and it's like, I wonder what Maureen Teefey has done other than, this and doing it for her country in Greece too. And it said that she graduated from the drama division of the Juilliard School, which is insane to me because that means that we have this incredible performer with all of this education who has not gotten to ever spread her wings and fly like the wonderful acting butterfly she is.
Wow.
She's due for a comeback. Like, I feel good about this. We're talking about this. I think we're putting it out in the zeitgeist. Mm-hmm. I think Maureen Teefey's going to come back.
Yeah, Maureen Teefey, if you're out there, let's bring you back. Well, it looks like she's in a short film called Hollywood Girl, the Peg Entwistle story from last year. And it has a bunch of people in it that I've never fucking heard of. So
no, she should be on the Exorcist TV show. There you go.
Yeah. Oh God, that would be amazing. Those big eyes, she'd be perfect.
Oh yeah. No, she's great. And the three lead actors are all fantastic. They all hold their own. I really dug this. And did I mention the score? I thought the score was actually pretty good. Like, I don't know if it's just me going in with no expectations on these VHS movies, but it's always fun when there's like a movie that I end up really loving.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you. All right. Anyone have anything else to say on Star Time?
Star Time!
Very atmospheric.
So check it out if you can. Maybe that rumor is true, and maybe the Blu-ray gods will smile upon us. And
please, please.
I would love to see this restored because you can tell that they. Like I said, it was there's a theatrical
dark
element
movie
to
too.
It. Yeah, it'd be nice to see everything. But I'd would love to see this thing restored. So we shall see. Keep our fingers crossed. Bug all of your favorite Blu-ray labels and see what's up. All right, Charlie, stop snoring.
It's a harsh reviewer.
Yeah, snurfle or snorter. All right, let's move on into Stream Screams.
Nate, wake up!
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
Don't fucking scream at me!
If you scream, I'll break your neck.
Don't scream, miss. Don't scream.
Today, we're talking about 1971's Let's Scare Jessica to Death. It is available in HD. I saw it on Vudu, but I'm wondering, this is probably on any of your streaming services that you may rent from. So it's available there. Looks pretty fantastic. I'm surprised that there hasn't been a Blu-ray release or home video release. I don't know who owns this film. Was it Paramount?
No, I thought
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers did.
I'm trying to think of like the opening. I think
Paramount
it's, Warner
Pictures.
Brothers. Oh, Paramount. Paramount.
Yeah.
Calling on all the spirits of everyone who's ever died in this house. Jessica. I'm calling on all the spirits of everyone who's ever died in this house. Jessica.
Paramount Pictures presents Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
Jessica, you're home now. Who are you? Why have you been following me?
What's the matter with him?
She knows who killed that man.
What man? I don't know.
He was lying right here. But I swear it's true. No! I think that the same creature or whatever it is that killed the antique dealer killed them all.
I think you should go back to New York for a while. You can see your doctor.
I'm alive. I'm still alive. I was just, looking at the picture. Looks so much like you.
My eyes, look in my eyes. Come with me. Come with me. Follow me, Jessica. Follow me.
So here's the synopsis for this, Brad. I wrote this down.
Very atmospheric.
Very atmospheric. Newly released. It is. Newly released from a mental ward, Jessica hopes to return to life the way it was before her nervous breakdown. But when Jessica moves to a country house with her husband and a close friend, she finds a mysterious girl living in there who may or may not be a vampire. Spoiler alert!
That's
Jessica's
Emily,
terror
right?
and paranoia resurface as evil forces surround her, making her wonder, are the visions real or is she slipping back into madness?
This is a film I gotta tread lightly with because I don't think a lot of people have seen it and you don't want to really spoil anything.
This is from the legitimate synopsis of the film that I just read.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying is when we get into detail. This is a made-for-TV movie, too, from the 70s.
I had no idea what to expect with this film. It starts off very quiet, and our main character, played by Zohra Lampert, is narrating the story, and I really, really loved how this film kind of transitions. You get to know the characters and you get to know the story. It's very kind of deliberate with its pacing. I really loved, ended up really loving everyone in the film, all the main characters. Like I said, Zohra Lampert plays Jessica. She was in The Exorcist 3, did a lot of television. Barton Heyman plays Duncan. I believe that's her husband. He was in the original Exorcist, and he was in Raising Cain. And then Kevin O'Connor plays Woody, and he was a detective in the movie Special Effects, and then he was a cab driver in It's Alive Part 3.
Ooh.
And then finally, their fourth player is Mary Claire Costello as Emily. She appeared in that fake documentary Shadow of the Blair Witch? That fake documentary? But written and directed by John D. Hancock. Lee Kalchim also was involved in writing this.
Very atmospheric.
Very atmospheric. I love the film.
That's just going to be my go-to. Yeah, moving forward.
I think it's a film that everyone should definitely watch. Take the time and rent it. And I want to hear what everyone else thought.
Okay.
I thought this was going to be something completely different because in my brain, Let's Scare Jessica to Death was the initiation of Sarah, which is incorrect. But I thought that it was going to be.
I could see you getting those two confused. I mean, just by like titles.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. It's like a long sentence title that happens to be about a girl. So in my brain, Let's Scare Jessica to Death was going to be in the same vein as the initiation of Sarah. And
both
I
made
was
for TV.
way wrong. Yeah, that's true. But I was way wrong, and I'm glad that I was wrong. I really, really enjoyed this a whole lot. I don't know how I had convinced myself that I'd already seen this. I definitely hadn't. I think that it's one of the few horror films that utilizes voiceover and narration in a positive way. I'm trying to tread because the things that I want to talk about are in relation to other films, but if I make those relations, it'll spoil the fucking movie. I think that it looks very beautiful. I think the score is really haunting and really beautiful at times. Yeah, this was an excellent find for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome again. Thank you.
I just owe so much to you, Brad, at this point. Just thank you. Thank
You're
you.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the character of Emily is the one that is most fascinating to me. Obviously Jessica is our protagonist and that's who we want to follow. I like sort of how it plays with the conventions of, she's recently released from, the psych ward. So that immediately makes her an unreliable protagonist. And I love unreliable protagonists, but Emily is the one that I think is most interesting, but I can't talk too much about her because it spoils the movie. So I won't, but I liked it.
Was it ever explained, Jessica's fascination with the tombstones?
No, I don't
because it opens with
I don't think it
them
was ever
going straight
explained.
on
I think
to
that's just part of her being.
One of her kinks, because she likes going to graveyards, finding really cool tombstones and taking like a transfer paper and basically, copying the tombstone. Really,
to be fair, there's probably
that's a hobby.
I was gonna say,
especially back then. Yeah,
is that a legit hobby?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Really?
To be fair, there's probably like a bunch of goth kids doing that right now somewhere.
Probably. Brad.
Yeah, taking the impressions is pretty common.
Okay. I mean, sorry, Stephanie, what are your thoughts on Let's Scare Jessica to Death?
Ha, you finally picked me before you, Brad.
Damn it.
Yeah, this is one of the just that title, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I had heard that title for years and years and years and never tracked it down. And like everyone, I was almost imagining kind of like a prom night revenge kind of theme. Of course, it's not that at all. This was a wonderful surprise. I love this. I can almost say it's boring in a good way. Like, it just kind of lulls you into this beautiful pacing, and the characters are so realistic. Ms. Lampert is incredible in it. She's very sweet, and she plays unsteadiness with such subtlety. It's incredible. Her eyes are just amazing. It had a great slow burn. It kind of reminded me of Romero's Season of the Witch a little bit when it comes to pacing.
Yeah, I could see that.
And with its like sense of location, it kind of even brought me back to The Slayer, just because it's that the location was a character unto itself. Like, there's this kind of lengthy antiquing scene in it, and it's wonderful. I'm like, yeah, we're going antiquing now. I will go anywhere this movie takes me.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with these characters. Like, you legitimately enjoy kind of hanging out with them, and Woody he's cool as fuck. That guy is cool. You want to hang out and smoke a joint with Woody.
You think so? Okay.
I mean, I'm not hanging out with Woody, but you know.
No. And women might look at Woody differently than
they might. Maybe
I don't know,
do.
But
Maybe I'm not hanging out with Woody.
No, okay, all right. My bad. I apologize.
No, it's incredibly unique while being, reminiscent of a few films, but it definitely goes its own way. I got a little bit of a Carnival of Souls feeling, maybe even like a tiny bit of Dead and Buried, even though it's nothing like those films, but like it'll just take like a whisper of something and kind of thread it in. But yeah, I loved it. I wasn't expecting just how deliberately paced and unique and wonderful it was. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's glad to hear. I always, this film's always kind of a pleaser when people really don't know what it is or haven't seen it before, obviously. But yeah, I agree with everything that both of you have said. It's like, as far as like pacing, it's like I was always, have you ever seen the film Girly?
No.
Wait, who said yes?
No one said yes.
Your dream co-host who isn't here, Brad. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Mike Delaney would probably say yes.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can go back to there.
Go talk to Mike.
Maybe. I don't know why I'm getting made fun of for this, but okay. I think you, BJ, and Steph, you guys would love Girly 100%. So good.
I'll track it down.
The pacing with something like Girly or like even The Witch Who Came from the Sea, and kind of the atmosphere of that's what this film reminds me of. But everything you guys have said is just trying to figure out, the mystery of the film. But it's got a great score. It looks creepy. It looks beautiful. It has everything, and I wish that this film was a little more prominent and maybe had a big theatrical release. I've said that it's been a made for TV movie a couple times, but that's true, right? I'm just not making that up. It's made for TV.
This was made for TV. I don't think it was.
No,
it has a PG-13 rating, and that kind of threw me off because TV is usually unrated.
Yeah, it was actually when it was initially released. It was rated.
Maybe it bombed.
When it was initially released, it was rated G. This was before they really did a whole lot of proper ratings, I believe, in the 70s.
You were G or R.
Yeah, because it said it was rated G, and I looked this up, and I was like, this movie's not rated G. Like, it may be PG, but yeah, when they went back and re-rated this or whatever, it's rated PG-13.
So maybe it just failed at the box office. So
it got a bunch of
my made-for-TV references is basically shit.
It got a lot of middling kind of reviews, and then the director John Hancock, he did 3 movies after this, and then he did a whole lot of TV. He did Band the Drum Slowly, Baby Blue Marine, and California Dreaming, and then he did a lot of TV, and then he directed in 1987 a movie called Weeds starring Nick Nolte.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. A little bit of trivia. I took notes this episode. This is a big deal for me.
I'm glad you took.
I didn't write jokes like Mike Delaney, but I took notes.
Damn.
There is so much shade being thrown on Mike Delaney right now.
I'm just ribbing you guys. I'm jealous.
Are you just mad that Dad got a new wife? Like, is this a thing?
A little bit. Well, you know that picture of that guy like with his girlfriend checking out the girl. You know that meme totally got memed.
Oh,
up.
the meme.
Yeah, I created one with SOV pod, and then Screamcast is he's walking Screamcast, but he's looking at SOV pod. That's how I feel right now.
That's pretty funny.
I'd like to talk about movies, but I mean,
this is just healthy banter. I love Brad and Mike and the South pod.
I'm totally gonna sleep well tonight. But long story short, like BJ and Steph have already perfectly said it. Like, it's just one of those films that is a huge crowd pleaser. Because you kind of don't know what to expect. The movie kind of comes out of nowhere. Yeah, it's its own thing, and hopefully, this is a film that I believe that would, if it was on Blu-ray, it would be a kind of a huge release for people because people would be able to discover it and be, we would hold it high up with a lot of these other, not joking around this time, but these atmospheric horror films that, I said it wasn't a joke.
It's a ruined word now, Brad. I'm sorry.
God damn it. But yeah, it's just, it's a beautiful movie, and I still find it very creepy. I think it is a very creepy movie. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot creepier in the 70s, but I think it still holds up, and has a lot of great moments.
The Chicago Film Critics Society named it the 87th scariest movie of all time.
Ooh.
Wow. 87th.
So look at that.
Very nice.
What was 86?
I don't know. It was on their Wikipedia page. I don't have the full list in front of me.
I had to laugh during this film. They're all hanging out, and I think they just got done. They're all having dinner, and Emily just out of the blue says, because they're talking about the house and everything, and then she just goes, let's do a seance. And I figured that's kind of like a party mood killer. There's no way that would stick around if somebody just, threw that out casually.
Maybe you need to go to better parties.
Yeah, it sounds like that's be something fun to do.
Really? Oh my God. I would be out of there so fast. Same thing. Like if somebody breaks out a Ouija board, I'm gone. As soon as I see that thing come out, I'm out the door. Bye.
Oh, you're going to hate hanging out with me.
What was the instrument? Was that a mandolin that she just started playing?
Sure. I think so.
Brad, I'm looking at you. You should probably know. And then he just had a stand-up bass ready.
Well, he had quit like the Philharmonic Orchestra or something like that
to
take care of Jessica. So, he was there's some tension in that relationship.
Oh boy, yes.
I'm more concerned about how you are scared of Ouija boards and seances.
Fuck yeah. Because I've said this before, a demon will come out and basically possess you and will drag you to hell. I legit believed all this stuff as a child.
There was a girl in the cast of Rocky Horror that I just performed with who is convinced that if you have sex on a Ouija board, you will open a physical portal to hell. Not like a hypothetical, metaphorical, like a literal, like a tear in the sky will happen and it will open a portal to hell. So all I'm saying out there, ladies,
weekend
challenge accepted.
I have okay, that's good band
Sean's
name.
Sweating.
Ouija Sex Portal. You're welcome. If you guys use that, I get 2% of the profits. Yeah. What's up, Chicago? We're Ouija Sex Portal.
So what if you...
The 87th scariest band in Chicago.
So what if you jerk off on a Ouija board? Like, not like you shoot on a Ouija board, but like if you sit down or just lay down and jerk off.
It's just depressing.
Yeah,
I don't know if accomplish.
I don't think any portal.
Does it just make the portal? Does it just make the portal appear? Maybe it doesn't actually open. It just
Newark
is there.
A portal straight to Newark.
To New York. Yes, Newark.
So Sean, when we meet, we're doing a seance.
What are you gonna do?
And a Ouija board, and we're gonna fuck on it.
Extra content. Make sure to film it.
Oh.
Yeah,
we can put that on the Patreon.
Patreon. Yes, that and you and Mike having like a 2-hour hash it out session. Look forward to it.
Just the divorce, divorce hearings. Like, what do you guys get in the divorce?
Right.
So what if someone pees on someone else on a Ouija board? No? All right. If no one's into piss talk, I'll just stop. So.
Yep.
Portal to Bakersfield opens up.
What about Shreveport?
Or Omaha.
Hackensack Cadillac.
Come on, guys. At least make an R. Kelly joke. Just don't steal mine.
All right, so there we go. That is Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Check it out. It's available on Vudu, is where I watch all my streaming rentals and all that stuff.
I saw it on. I rented on Amazon Prime, so you could do that too.
Wait, is it available for free on Amazon Prime?
No, sadly.
Oh, okay.
So I will be sending you my receipt.
Oh shit!
Well, with me right now is the president of Synapse Films, Don May Jr. Don, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I want to say just congratulations on this Suspiria release, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And I say this as somebody in the past who has always kind of been a little bit of a smartass when it comes to the steelbook option, you know? When I first, you guys first started doing these steelbooks with the Demons 1 and 2, and I remember I said something, and this was a few years back, and I've grown since then, and my appreciation for it, and just doing this podcast and knowing what goes into these releases especially has helped. But when Demons 1 and 2 came out, I made some comment online or something about like, well, I'm just gonna go get the Arrow release because they have them both on one, and it's it's cheaper, it's half the price, yada yada. And I don't know if it was you or someone who ran your social media. Somebody responded back with, "Well, ours looks better."
Yeah, it might have been my PR guy at the time. Yeah, because ours was different, people do still say that. They're like, well, I'll just get this one. We had a similar situation with Popcorn. An anti-steelbook person was, well, I'm just going to get the German one because they announced it, and it says it's high def, so it's the same master. And of course, the German one comes out, and it's a rip of our Blu-ray, and it's been noise reduced, and it doesn't even have all the extras or options. It's like, okay, if you want to buy that one, go ahead. You want to buy a version that was, done without our permission. You're more than welcome to do that. We actually had to go to the guy and say, hey, listen, you gotta get our permission to do this, Well, I learned my lesson because I ended up buying Demons on Blu-ray from you guys. It looked phenomenal. So I learned my lesson there. I've just, I buy so many movies. I always would kind of wager, is this something I'm going to spend the money on? Cause you guys don't churn out as much quantity, I would say, I guess, but I would say the quality is up. The quality is worth saving the money for, and this is something that I've learned since you guys have moved to doing the steelbooks, and then maybe 6 to 12 months later you'll release a standard version. You did just announce that you're releasing the plastic Blu-ray case version of Suspiria. There's a couple options there. So in the past I'd waited just because, but depending on the film, but with Suspiria, for me, it's one of my favorite films. I'd heard so much buzz about the screenings, the 4K restoration, that this was a no-brainer. As soon as you guys announced the steelbook, I had saved my money, set it aside. I knew that it was going to be worth it, and to me it is. So I wanted to thank you guys for just a stunning release. And I always bag on slipcovers, and the slipcover was a nice touch. Yeah, it's funny. We get questions and things like this all the time. And, you touched upon something where you said, we don't put out as much quantity. And that's because I take too damn much time trying to make everything as perfect as possible. Suspiria took me 3 years, and, a combination of factors is the first one is that, a lot of people don't realize that Synapse Films is just 2 guys. They think we're like a big company with like a staff, and we're not. It's just me and my business partner, Jerry Chandler. So we're juggling all these movies and trying to get them out, just the 2 of us. This morning I was up, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, coordinating 5, releases for release today, and Suspiria, I wanted to make sure we got a hold of the director of photography, Luciano Tavoli, to make sure that what we were doing was correct. A lot of companies that, have, millions and millions of dollars and scores of employees are looking at, hey, we got to get this out for the bottom line. And a lot of them just grab whatever they can get from the studio and put it out. And, we could have done the same for Demons and Demons 2. We could have grabbed the masters that Arrow had and just put them out, but I knew better, and I took my time, and I made sure that that we were able to put out the best versions that we can. And sometimes, sorry to say for the impatient collectors out there and the horror fans, but sometimes that takes a while. We had to wait. Every project brings new difficulties. And sometimes when you think you've got something ready to roll, and then you end up going, oh no, case in point, our upcoming Massacre at Central High that we're working on, we announced that title a long time ago. And for reasons out of our control, the director had some personal issues that he had to take care of before we could continue. And he sort of dropped out of the limelight for over a year. And and so we waited for him, and now we're getting back on. So sometimes these things take a long time. We're not a major studio who's like got a bunch of bean counters going. We have to make X amount of dollars every quarter, or we're going to start firing people. We're just two guys sitting in an office at the end of the runway at Detroit Metro. Trying to put out some titles to keep the lights on.
It's quality wise, definitely it is paying off. And I wanted to ask you, because Suspiria was announced a few years back, what were can you let us know some of the roadblocks that had delayed it for so long? Was it just getting the restoration?
You got more than 15 minutes.
I do, but I want people to understand like what goes into these, because as a podcast doing this, and we're fans, we're collectors ourselves, and we bitch and moan about things as much as the next guy. So my goal is to kind of start. I want to start, especially this year, start collecting interviews from those involved with putting these releases out, because I think it's important, as I've learned these stories, that it's important for, I think, people to hear. So.
Right. Well, with Suspiria, it was one of those titles that, well, first of all, it's Suspiria, no offense, given to something of lesser quality, but Suspiria is sort of like the ultimate Argento. And, a lot of people consider it one of the top 10 horror films of all time. So I knew that, we couldn't just, put something out. We had to take every step that we could afford to make sure that it was correct. And when we licensed the title and we got it, we were all excited, and they wouldn't let us have the negative shipped to the United States. The negative itself was locked up in Technicolor Rome. And at the time that we were getting everything together for the release, Technicolor Rome was in the midst of a lot of layoffs and closings. And they were like, well, Technicolor Rome is closing. And we're like, well, wait, what? How are we going to get this thing scanned? And they're like, well, and then weeks went by. And weeks went by when we were like, what, are we going to be able to get this thing scanned or what? And then it literally came down to 2 weeks before Technicolor Rome was closing their doors. We were already on like Christmas break, I think, and they were closing on like December 31st. And I hadn't heard anything. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, Technicolor Rome, we're going to get this done and we're going to ship everything to you. And I was like, okay, great. Well, 3 more weeks go by and I get all the data. Now, when you do a 4K scan, you have to kind of put everything on hard drives, and Suspiria was like 12 terabytes, just to give you an idea of how crazy huge it was. And then of course you can't just have one copy, you got to have more than one, for safety. But they sent us these tapes, these tapes of the data, of the ones and zeros of 12 terabytes of data for Suspiria. I finally get them, and then 3 of the tapes are corrupted. And Technicolor Rome is already closed. They've already laid everybody off, and I had no one to talk to. And I'm like, well, wait, now what? So a couple more months went by before Technicolor Rome was able to corral all the materials for Suspiria and move them somewhere else. And just by the luck of the draw, a couple of the employees of Technicolor Rome went to a new lab and they said, okay, we'll rescan this material for you. And oh, by the way, while we were moving everything, we found the original opening and closing credits, which on any of the previous release, there's another competing 4K out overseas, which the director of photography doesn't even want to acknowledge that it exists because he thinks it looks terrible. But they had to recreate the opening and closing credits digitally because at the time no one knew where this stuff was. Well, it was sort of a happy accident. You know, once the tapes were corrupted and we had to redo everything, they found the opening and closing credits, so we ended up getting everything, you know. It was a very ulcer-inducing time for, you know, because what people don't realize is, you know, Suspiria wasn't exactly given to us. It was expensive. We had to pay for it. We had to pay a premium to get it scanned overseas because they wouldn't let us have the material shipped to the U.S. where I could supervise it. So it was a lot of sleepless nights going, what happened to this and what did we pay for? And, you know, starting to wonder if, you know, what we were doing was, you know, worth it. You know, you start to think, oh my God, you know, this is a lot of the little things like this that some of the fans that, you know, that the complainers and they don't understand what goes into this sometimes.
We get passionate, but
yeah. You know. Well, and then of course we get the material rescanned, and we finally get the data, and then of course we have to back everything up. So you're paying for 12 terabytes of data backed up 2 or 3 times, and you're doing it at a studio where they're charging you by the megabyte. You know, so there's more charges. And then once we had a look at it, then we realized the negative is in pretty shitty shape. I mean, you know, at one point we thought, wouldn't it be funny if we just put like what the raw scan looked like somewhere as an extra feature? And then it was just like, no, because that'll take away bits to make the movie the best quality, you know, bit rate we can get. But yeah, the negative was torn. There was frames missing. It was ripped. It was spliced. There was fingerprints on the splices, and it was just hell. And I honestly, after all we went through with Suspiria just to get the data, the months we had to wait, I about gave up on the business. I'll be honest with you. I was so frustrated with Suspiria. I was like, you know what? I am so done with this business right now. I'm done. I'm going to throw my hands up in the air and leave and go become a barista or something. I was like, you know, I can't do this anymore because, you know, you've got expectations from the fans and they're waiting and you're waiting. And, you know, I gave up on social media about 3 or 4 years ago. You know, my father passed away, and I just waking up every morning looking at Facebook and seeing the complaints and the whining and the screaming and the other people, you know, spilling their own personal problems out on Facebook. I was like, you know what? You know, I'm done. And I canceled my Facebook account, and I've never been back. But you know, Suspiria was a lot of hurdles. And then, you know, you hear a lot of other companies touting how much color correction and all this. Oh, we did, you know, 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours of color correction. In 4K, we did 168 hours of color correction on Suspiria in 4K. You know, so don't impress me with your, hey, we did 40 hours of color correction. It's like, no. You know, no. When you're doing 160 plus hours of color correction in 4K on something, you know, the 40 hours means absolutely nothing to me. Doesn't impress me. You know, I spent days. I mean, if you think about how many actual 24-hour days that is, that's how much I spent in front of a monitor. And then we had to go back through it to do the theatrical color space. So when we put it out in the theaters, that's not the same color space as what's on a Blu-ray and a DVD. In technical terms, a Blu-ray and a DVD is Rec 709 color space. So a theatrical is a P3 color space. So we actually had to do 2 color passes. One for our 4K DCP theaters and another one for home video. And it was a nightmare, And then we had the audio, and then everything else that we had. Vincent Pereira, who I entrusted with the 4-channel audio mix, did an awesome job getting the original mix that was done in '77 on the disc as a 4-channel, as the original LCRS 4-channel. So, the road to the finished Suspiria was a long one. But in the end, after all the grief and all the pain and all the gray hairs and ulcers and sleepless nights, I've been in this business for 25 years, and I think it's the best thing that I've ever done.
You guys should definitely be very proud of it. I mean, you guys should be proud of all your releases for sure. I mean, like I said, just as I started becoming more, diving into more serious collecting is a wrong thing to say, but kind of just paying attention to the labels and who's putting out what and the work that they do. I just only really started paying attention over the past few years. And you guys definitely, as far as the care that gets put in these films, it's definitely noticeable and appreciated. And Synapse that film is such a work of art with the music and the color. I mean, it's one of those, I totally get the pains you'd want to go through to get it right, just because it's a film that pops off the screen.
It was too important for me to do it half-assed, I mean, my business partner, Jerry, he's the number counter in our company, and he was just like, Jesus Christ, when is this coming out? We've spent, God knows how many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this thing. We got to get this thing out. And I'm like, I know, but it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet, And I wasn't going to do Suspiria until it was ready. I wasn't going to release it until it was ready to go. And then, when we did we showed it at Warner Brothers when I was getting the DCP created. And then the folks at Fox saw it out in LA, and they're like, wait a minute, we own theatrical on this. Let's do this thing. It's the 40th anniversary. Let's put this in theaters. And so Fox took it over and put it in, I think there was even one night, maybe in early October, when it played in over almost 200 theaters at the same time. I mean, it was crazy, the theatrical release on Suspiria. And then of course, that actually really helped, when the Steelbook came and went so fast. It was a little bit of a shocker, I love, going back to the fans. I remember when we announced that we were doing 6,000 units, it's hilarious. There's people, they go, 6,000 units, they're going to have these forever. They didn't sell their other stuff. They've still got all their other Steelbooks around. I'll order it in a couple of years, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, it sells out. And then it was all of a sudden, these people were like, well, wait a minute. They knew it was Suspiria. Why didn't they make more?
It's Suspiria. You have to set aside the cash.
Well, that's an interesting 360 from what they were just saying, 3 or 4 months ago. First, it was we'll buy it later because they're never going to run out. To wait, why didn't they make more? They knew it was Suspiria. They should have done more than.
Hey, you snooze, you lose. Well, you guys have I say standard, but you have a single disc version coming out, and then you have the 2-disc version coming out. Those are over on the website.
Believe it or not, we actually have a DVD, which may very well be the swan song for Synapse DVDs. It's the DVD market is pretty much dead, and we don't sell more than a few hundred DVDs anymore. Everything's Blu-ray. And people kept saying, hey, how come no DVD? How come no DVD? How come no DVD? And I was just like, okay, we'll put out a DVD. And that might be the last one. I mean, we put out a DVD of Creep Behind the Camera and stuff like that, but the sales are next to zero for DVD media these days. But there are still some people out there who still cling on to the DVD format, even though they could go buy a Blu-ray player for about the same price as the DVD.
Yeah, $25 and get yourself something decent anymore. But one final question for you, and then we'll wrap up here. But there was, the whole UHD 4K Blu-rays are all out now. Do you guys plan on jumping into that format at all, or?
Well, like a lot of other indies. Mm-hmm. A lot of other indies, we're investigating, but we can't get any answers. And by answers, I mean how much. I mean, look, I just picked up, RLJ Entertainment, which used to be Image. They jumped into UHD. They put out, was it Brawl until Block 99 or whatever, and then they put out Mayhem, Joe Lynch's film. And, it's not in, HDR or anything. It's just very basic 4K. And I see people complain, hey, it's not in BT 2020. It's in Rec 709 color space. Hey, it's not in HDR. Why do studios do this to us? Why don't they put it out in HDR? Why do they do this? Why am I'm not buying it? Blah, 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 blah. Well, so as a small company, we're not a studio, okay? So we can't walk into Fox and say, hey, let's put Star Wars out in BT20 color space and let's do an HDR pass because, we own the movie forever. Well, studios haven't been able to tell us how much to do a real BT 2020, which is the proper color space for UHD Blu-ray is called BT 2020. It's different than Blu-ray and DVD. It's a completely new color pass, as well as the high dynamic range pass that you have to do on the films. You don't have to. People complain if you don't. On the 4K Blu-rays. As a small company of two guys, we're finding out the authoring software is like something like $70,000. I've been asking. I asked Warner Brothers. I asked my buddies at some labs. I was like, okay, if we bring the 4K data in for Suspiria, and we decide, a couple of years down the road when we can get, we don't go broke. If we wanted to do a 4K, how much is this going to cost? Nobody can give us a price. Nobody. I have asked replication plans. How much does it cost to replicate a 4K Blu-ray? No one's been able to give me prices. And, I think right now, even when we did Blu-ray, when Blu-ray was introduced, it took us 3 years to jump in because the prices were so high on making a Blu-ray when they first came out that it was really relegated to the majors, which is what's happening with UHD Blu-ray right now. If you want to do who's going to want Suspiria if I don't do it in the correct color space and if I don't do it in HDR? If I put out a 4K version of Suspiria in the Blu-ray color space with no HDR, everybody's just going to complain.
Yeah.
So
we don't need that.
Right, exactly. So if they come back to me and they say, well, to do an HDR pass and a BT 2020 color pass on Suspiria, that's going to cost you about, I don't know, $35,000. No, I'm not gonna half-ass it. I'm not gonna, there are studios out there, and I'm not gonna say who, but there are plenty of releases out there where they turn on the HDR. I call it set it and forget it. So you're watching a movie in HDR on Ultra HD Blu-ray, and you're like, why is this daytime scene so damn dark? It didn't look this dark in the film. If I'm going to do Suspiria, I got to do it right. I got to do a scene for scene color pass, and I got to do a scene for scene HDR pass. And until the prices come down, or at least they can tell me realistically how much something like that's going to cost, there's, UHD is going to be, way down the road for us. And I imagine that's the case for many independent players in the business, because we don't want to go broke.
No.
You one mistake, and you're done. The industry is very, very, very different than it was, 10, 15 years ago, when we all had our products sitting on the shelves of Best Buy and Suncoast and Media Play and Kim's Underground and Circuit City. We don't have those places anymore. Borders Books and Music, which used to carry everything. Us little guys, us little independents, we don't have the luxury of getting space at the only game in town these days, Best Buy.
And that's even shrinking. Every year that whole section shrinks and shrinks and shrinks.
So it's a tough business.
Well, Don, thank you so much for chatting with me about Suspiria and the business of Synapse. And we definitely wish you all the best, and we look forward to sending some more money your way for your future releases for sure. I'm sure it's going to happen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
What's funny is, now this is how, I feel like I'm just recently, I don't know, the past decade, I jumped into horror more than I ever had. And I had never seen Suspiria until I saw the movie, and this is stupid, but the movie Juno, where she talks about Suspiria. And I was like, oh, I guess I better watch Suspiria if it's in Juno.
What?
So I rented Suspiria, and I watched Suspiria.
No one is allowed to give Diablo Cody shit ever again for the rest of her life because she got Sean to watch Suspiria.
Yeah, seriously, that's the reason why. I was like, well, shit. Diablo Cody says that it's like this hallmark of horror. I better friggin' watch this thing.
She get you to watch Wizard of Gore too?
Not yet. No, I've not.
What? Oh my god!
Wait, what was the other movie?
Wizard of Gore.
Wizard of Gore. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sean doesn't watch movies.
There's some major holes in my classic horror. So I immediately rented on DVD Suspiria, and I loved it, and it's just been a favorite of mine. And I think it was actually may have been my first Argento film that I watched, and then I started going down the rabbit hole of finding all these other horror films. But yeah, no, I saw it when I watched Suspiria. It was kind of my first, as I started to do more deep dives into the horror genre. Cause I'd done, all the 80s, like, Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, all those ones, but I had never started jumping into more of the Italian films, something like that. And Suspiria was kind of like my first entry into that. And we've everyone who listens to this show has obviously seen Suspiria. So I want to hear how everyone was introduced to Suspiria, since I came to Suspiria late in the game. So I'm interested in hearing your guys' stories when you discovered. Where in your little your horror journey did you discover and watch Suspiria?
Mine was when I was way too young. I think we discussed this on the Argento just grand episode, but opera was actually my first foray into Argento. And similarly to how I discovered Ms. 45 before I Spit on Your Grave, I just returned opera to the video store, and the guy behind the counter was like, I'm glad you like that. However, you should watch this instead. It's better. And sent me home with Suspiria. And I fucking loved it. It's very atmospheric. It's beautiful. And I have a mild obsession with Suspiria and sort of the cinematography, and I guess at this point it's just iconic. I have the hot pink Chris Garofalo Suspiria print he did with the ballerina in the mask, and then he modified that artwork to do kind of that limited run series of all Argento films. But I have that on my wall. It will likely get tattooed on my body when I finally, toughen up and get some ink done. But yeah, Suspiria is one of my favorite films of all time, regardless of genre. And I probably should not have watched it as young as I did, which I think I was probably like 11 or 12, but that just gave me more time to love it.
Yes.
Scary, spooky, Italian shot ballerina horror. Plus witches. Don't forget the witches.
Yes, with the witches. How about you, Steph?
Yeah, I think I did mention on the Argento episode, but I was getting into horror, and of course Argento comes up immediately when you start reading. And a video store had just opened up, and I was about 19, I guess. And he had the fancy Anchor Bay version. You could either rent from the store or you could buy from the store. And he was selling it for $20. So I just went up and bought it. And I just remember him being so angry at me. Like, don't put it for sale, man. And it blew my mind. I had never seen a film like that. Well, since I haven't seen a film like that, but after seeing like a lot of kind of grungy, low budget horror movies, seeing something that gorgeous, that artistic, and that very atmospheric, it just kind of blew my mind. And I became obsessed with Argento. I'm pretty sure Opera was my next one. And yeah, it was all uphill from there. Argento is still one of my favorites, and I've seen the movie so many times. I actually rewatched it today, and no matter how closely I watch it, I always find something new. I always feel something new. A different scene stands out to me, and I fall more in love with Jessica Harper.
Oh, she's great. Yeah,
I was watching this movie one time where this high schooler gets pregnant and these people do this closed adoption.
Shut up.
And she likes
Teen
punk.
Wolf 2 in that one?
She likes punk rock and like horror movies and stuff. No,
Burn.
I honestly I wish I had a more because usually I have stories. A lot of movies I see that I remember the first time. This was just one of those random picks at Blockbuster. I imagine I saw it very young. It stood out. I bought it on VHS, then I bought it on DVD, and then that expanded Anchor Bay DVD came out, and I bought that. And I have a Blu-ray from like Italy or something when that came out a couple years ago. So eventually I'll get the Synapse, whatever the fuck you're supposed to say. But yeah, it's always stood out to me. It's a very beautiful movie, very atmospheric. It's such a great blend of like art house horror with kind of like a pseudo slasher with giallo elements. Obviously, I still stand by that Suspiria is not a giallo, even though people argue with me. But it shares some qualities to giallo films. We have I think one kill with black leather gloves and a razor, but yeah, it's just one of those films that really stood out, and I watched it again recently. Probably like Steph, I've seen this movie too many fucking times. But last time I got to see it was last week. I rewatched it because I knew we were gonna watch it for the show or talk about it on the show, and I actually showed it to Willow, and she's 12. So she really loved it. She was like, she didn't expect that. I told her we're going to watch like a horror film, but it's not quite like 100% a horror film. And she really dug it. She's kind of in this witch phase right now anyway. So she really liked when the reveal is that it's witches and shit. But yeah, I don't really remember my first time, but it's grown old with me for a while. It's I think one of the first Argento films that I saw. I think his name was in my head after I think I saw Demons, and I remember his name popping up in that movie. And then I had my all movie guide, and I was like, oh, he worked on this movie. And then I was like, oh, he directs. That's cool. And then, yeah, just became obsessed after that.
Have any of you seen this on the big screen in a theater? I would love to see this theatrically.
It's on my bucket list.
I went to see it on my birthday, and the print didn't arrive at the movie theater.
No.
Like, I was sitting in my seat. I'm kind of cursed with this movie now that I think about it.
Just because when I was watching it this last time here on the Blu-ray, I mean, I've never seen it this vibrant, you know, because all the other times I've watched it was DVD, and just like every single frame of the film, like, could be just pick a frame and just, you can just, you know, mount it on a wall. You know, it's so gorgeous from start to finish. Even the brutal and like gory scenes, like, there's still a beauty to them, you know? Was this the beginning when he's pushing the killer or whoever is pushing the girl's face up against the glass, and you hear the glass cracking? Oh my God, that scenes like that are just incredible. I've never seen anything quite like it. And if you do, you know that they're just cheap imitations. Like, there's something about Suspiria that has always resonated with me. And this thing from start to finish is just the wall-to-wall music and just the lighting and colors is fantastic. My daughter walked in and to watch a little bit of it with me, and I was wondering, Brad, I was going to ask you, you know, if Willow had seen it, and I think this is something that she would probably get a lot out of. My daughter would too.
It's a safe movie. It's weird that you know, there really isn't any, being from Italy and from Argento and kind of the history with those films, there's no sexual stuff in this movie whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a safe movie to show your kids. I don't see why it would be any harm. And I mean, like I said, it's more of like an art piece. It's like going to a museum and like watching like moving pictures or something like that.
Yeah.
So I want to take a poll real quick, and I don't want to dwell too long on it because obviously it's not. So, of the four of us, who thinks that this remake is going to be worthy?
No.
I think it's going to be 100%. I think it's going to be one of the top horror films of 2018.
That is a bold claim.
Like, in terms of box office or quality?
Quality.
Well, you know, because the Flatliners remake did pretty good.
Shut the fuck up.
Movies have been remade.
This one, with who's behind it, it's a little bit more independently made.
Yeah.
It's not a studio movie. And with that, I think we will have something special.
I hope so. I mean, if they do, it would have to be just so incredibly different, because,
and especially with this director coming off of Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. You do make a really good point. And my only beef, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I do not like the idea of Dakota Johnson being the lead. I don't think that she's particularly bad, but I do not think she can carry a film. And I think she's going to get outacted by every single person in that cast, and it's going to bring it down. That's what I'm fearful of.
I hope we have a Heath Ledger situation or something, where it's just like, we're like, oh, well, that's not probably the greatest idea, and then we're like, oh, we're totally wrong.
I hope so. I mean, but I don't know, man. This is, like, to me, just rewatching Suspiria, I was just like, man, this is one of my all-time just favorites. I can put this on any time and just watch it. Like, I don't have to be in the mood to watch it. Like, this is something I can definitely put in and just let it, you know, let it take me over for a little while, and, you know, for a couple hours, and just
sounds like you're describing my dick inside you.
Yeah.
I like
exactly.
this.
That's exactly
this
what I'm
is
talking
sexy.
But yeah, we'll see. I always hope that a movie's good. I'll give a remake a chance. But I don't know, man. It's freaking Suspiria. I don't know. It's a tall order. I would hate to be the director. There's a lot of pressure the director's probably
well, what's even crazier too is that when they had first announced, because they've been talking about doing a Suspiria remake for quite some time now, and when it first was announced that it was being remade back in 2008, David Gordon Green was the one who was attached to it, and now he's not doing it, and he's doing Halloween. So it's like, god damn, like that dude, like people really, really trust him.
Yeah. Well, there's also, I think the guy who directed the remake of Evil Dead was attached at one time too, right?
I think you're right.
Something like that. Yeah, I think they're being very careful about this. I think they know what they have, and they're not just remaking a horror film. There's also so much, because Suspiria is such a beautiful movie, and like we've said plenty of times, and obviously if you just watch it, it's very well done as far as between cinematography, color, just lighting, everything about it. So they know that that's what the audience is going to expect, but you also have to do it in a new and inventive way. The storyline isn't all that much with Suspiria, so that's fairly easy. I think that they could elaborate a little bit more on certain things, for sure. What I like about Suspiria is they don't. It's very quick. Once you talk to Udo Kier, you kind of know what's happening, and there it just all unfolds. I wouldn't mind for that to be expanded just a tiny bit, and I hope that that's what they do. Especially now we're kind of in this day and age where witches and black magic and all that shit's kind of, very popular. But I think it's something that would be fun to see remade. I'm not so much one of those people that says, don't touch it. It doesn't need to be done. Let it happen. Let's see what they got, because I think more studios and more producers are starting to realize that bigger isn't better, and they're kind of using their brains with who they're choosing for these films. So we'll see. I don't know. I have high hopes for it.
How do you feel about Tom York doing all of the music for it?
Yeah, that caught me off guard big time. I'm not a huge Radiohead fan.
I'm not either. So that's why I'm very like, oh.
Well, I think Tom York's solo stuff is, it's Radiohead-ish, but it's a lot. It's pretty different, and I like if you've heard his solo stuff. I don't know, man.
But you're scoring Suspiria. I mean,
it's Tom York.
Like, honestly, is that your opinion, or did Juno teach you that?
And Johnny Greenwood does soundtracks now.
Yeah.
It's not him.
That's a fair point.
I'm curious to see like where they would go. I mean, you're remaking an iconic horror film, but you also have an iconic soundtrack. So to see where they would go with that, I don't know. When they announced Tom York, maybe it's going to be like a Mike Shinoda Linkin Park raid deal where it's like, oh wow, that completely is unexpected for being so awesome. Yeah. I don't know. But see, all these elements aren't lining up, and maybe that's for the best.
Well, what I'm hearing, what I've been reading is that it's they definitely want it to be completely different, and it's kind of its own beast. So we'll see. It sounds like they're being artistic with it. It sounds like they know what they're up against, and that it's in post production right now. So we'll see soon. So we may have to circle back around and
hopefully it plays itself
see if you were right, Brad, because I haven't been too keen on the Suspiria remake at all. Even with all these announcements and these people involved, I've just been like, that's just an impossible thing to do. So we'll see.
Nothing's impossible.
It even says it in its name. I'm possible.
All right. Well, any final words about the Suspiria release?
Nope.
We'll move on.
Nope.
Okay.
Very atmospheric.
Very
Yes.
atmospheric.
It's the word for the day.
Very atmospheric.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up this episode here. I actually let's see here. I'm trying to plan ahead so we know what we're gonna be talking about on our next shows. So next time we're gonna be doing these shows, I believe every 2 weeks, and in between our show, you're gonna hear a new Splathouse. So it'll be our Screamcast, and then next week a Splathouse, and it kind of thing. If you go over to screamingpods.com and check that out. But next show we are going to cover Gothic, and I'm changing this up, you guys. We're going to be doing Fright Night 2 because that is out on Amazon Prime right now. And then our VHS pick is a film called Dark Tower, not the new Gunslinger movie. That's awful. But VHS Dark Tower. So this is on deck for next time. If you head over to thescreamcast.com, you'll see we have a whole new logo. Huge thank you to Kevin Spencer. He's been wanting to kind of revamp the logo for a couple years, and he finally got a chance to do it. And I absolutely love it. Some people said they didn't like it as much as our last logo. That's fine. It's okay. You don't have to. That old logo is not going anywhere. It's still archived. You can save the JPEG. So huge thank you to Kevin Spencer for doing that. You can check out his artwork over at inkspatters.com. Wolfman of Mars, thank you for letting me use your music for the show. I was going to change out the intro, but everyone said no. So fuck it. One less thing I got to do.
Fuck it.
Also, grindhousevideo.com. Please check out their Blu-rays and movies, and you can, I think he sells his used stuff every now and then on Facebook if you follow him there. So go to grindhousevideo.com, check out all the movies there. Also find the Facebook page and all that good stuff. Also, if you use the code Screamcast, you get 10% off of an order over at coffeeshopofhorrors.com.
Coffee Shop of Horrors.
Hell to the yes. All right. So next episode, we got a few films, and then the following episode, so 3 episodes from now, or the third one from now, whatever, we're going to be doing a big Vinegar Syndrome episode. So make sure you are keeping tabs on all the Vinegar Syndrome releases and watch them, and you can hear us talk about them.
Keeping tabs.
That's right. Like I said, go over to thescreamcast.com. You'll find all of our social media links there. Please check out screamingpods.com. Check out all the podcasts in our little podcast family. Brad and Mike Delaney have been releasing the SOV pod every Friday. You guys are animals.
Animals.
Ridiculous. So that will be coming up every week, and all that good stuff. All right. That's going to do it for this week's episode, the first of 2018. Thank you all for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.